Hi, I'm Vida May Soriano. I'm a research student from the Mahidol University Institute of Human Rights and Peace Studies. I'm doing a research on human rights education in the Philippines. And with me today is Isu, or wait, is it okay? Okay. With me today is Isurinie Mallaawarachchi, but I call her Isu, and she's from a different program. I'm from Masters in Human Rights, Masters in the Arts of Human Rights, and she's from Asia Pacific Masters in Human Rights and Democratization. I hope I got that correctly. It's a mouthful. Okay, so this is Isu. She's a lawyer, she's a poetess, a published author. She has two master's degrees under her belt, and today she'll be talking about her master's thesis that she's trying to finish for IHRP. Okay, so let's start with um how do I call this? Okay, let's start with your um your intentions. Why did you study human rights, masters in human rights at Mahidol University?
As you told everyone, I have a background in law. So human rights law is something that I was very enthusiastic about at a certain point in life. And I really wanted to pursue that. But well, again, then my plans changed and I became an educator. That's a different story. But I am very much keen on human rights and education, and I am an advocate for LGBT rights activism in Sri Lanka. So given that context, human rights and learning about human rights seems the logical thing to do.
And a natural thing at that, right? So it's natural for you to
Yeah.
gravitate towards that. Okay, so what prompted you? What was your reason for choosing Mahidol University? And why Asia? Because a lot of my family and friends, they ask why Asia. So why Mahidol University and why Asia?
It's the generic answer that everyone would give, but yeah, that is also my reason, which is the fact that it's quite reputed. And it's in Sri Lanka, there's University of Colombo, which is an affiliated uni in
University
the
of
program.
Colombo.
Yes.
Okay, I have to.
So in my program, one semester is done in Thailand, and the next semester is done in a partner university. And one of the partner universities is University of Colombo in Sri Lanka.
Mm. You
So
didn't.
I kind of knew about this.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I
Was
cut you.
that Vida?
Am I cutting?
Was that Vida?
Am I cutting?
No,
Okay.
tell
Okay.
me.
Okay, so why didn't you choose any other country? Because a lot of our friends from APMA, they chose different countries. For instance, we have a friend from France and she chose India. And then we have a friend from Nepal and then she chose Indonesia. And then a lot of our friends went to Nepal also. So it's an interesting program, would you think? And but why did you choose to stay in Sri Lanka for your second semester?
Um, so for my second semester, I chose Sri Lanka mainly because the context that my master's thesis is located is Sri Lanka.
Okay.
Because
So it was a
I'm
practical
working
decision.
on
Oh, okay.
working on intimate partner violence among transgender women in Sri Lanka. So I can it's a practical reason actually. I thought that I could, start working on my thesis and start acquiring the background knowledge required for my thesis from the second semester onwards. Whether I did that or not, it's a question. but that was the plan.
All right, we all do our best, I guess. So how was it like for you studying in Mahidol and visiting Salaya for the first time? How was the experience?
I absolutely love Salaya. I absolutely love Mahidol University. It's so beautiful, and everyone there is so friendly and helpful. Um, and I love the cats in Salaya. Everywhere
Cats?
you go, you have like a very chubby cat.
Really?
Yes.
A
You
cat?
haven't seen?
Oh, in my neighborhood, yes. But like if I go to the campus per se, I see a lot of monitor lizards like this big, like huge ones, and a lot of birds, which I enjoy. And sometimes I get scolded by our coordinator, Kunsharia, because every time I'm with her, because I when I need to ask for something or sign papers, I would tell her, "Is it okay if I touch the monitor lizard, something like that?" And a few times we would be walking together in the campus, and we would see this big monitor lizards crossing the street, and all the cars would stop, and I would say, "Can I touch them?" And she would say, "No, they're territorial," something like that. But they're really huge and they're kind of cute. But chubby cats, I haven't seen. I have yet to see those. I see it in my neighborhood, but none. And then dogs also, right? But like chubby cats, really?
Chonky ones.
Like
Very cute.
I did okay. I will need to go there again. And what about how do you find the canal system in Mahidol? Because I've been told that Mahidol is as big as there's this country in Fiji. I'm not sure if it's true, but the vastness of our school, our campus is like that, and it houses a lot of utilities and facilities for sports. And then we have the Prince Mahidol Hall, which is so impressive and domineering. But then I would like to ask about the wrapped around canal system. How did you find that?
I didn't find it as a canal system. I just find it as something that is there to beautify the campus. Actually, I used to take pictures of it and like post on my social media and stuff.
I really liked it also. I think from what I know, I think it's like recycled water, and the presence of the big monitor lizards there is supposed to be an indicator that the campus is very much green. When I say green, it has a good it's a good environment for different species to thrive, and it means that the environment, the ecosystem is very well balanced. So should the monitor lizards be dwindling in number, it would be an indicator that the environment is degrading as well. So that's from my research. But okay, so you found it as like a, yeah, it's beautiful. Have you been to the College of Music?
I don't know what you're talking about, but I'm pretty sure I have.
You have. You know the College of Music, it's like they have this like
Oh yes, I have.
yeah,
I have. Yeah.
especially the woodwind instruments. It's like all
Yes.
wood. And then it's like a, I don't know how they, it's a fusion of Japanese architecture and Thai architecture. It's so beautiful. And I would go there and I'd feed the monitor lizards with bread. And then also they have fishes like tilapias that are really big. I like that part. Okay, so but have you been to like the main building of College of Music? Because it's like Greek architecture. It's so beautiful. Have you been there? Like the Greek columns and then like the concrete steps leading towards the foyer. It's so beautiful. Have you been there?
I don't think I have.
Okay, maybe when you have time you can visit again. On your graduation probably. What about the Prince Mahidol Hall?
That I have visited. Yes.
How did you find it?
It's colossal. It's so beautiful. I mean, like you have it in the background and you sit on the
On the steps.
greenery.
Oh yeah, and the greenery at the front, right? Oh my God, that's so beautiful. That it's an architecture feat. But I was told that you have to like turn on the AC every day for a few hours just to prevent the building from expanding or contracting. I'm not sure. I see, I haven't really done the diligent research. This is just something that I learned from one of our professors because it's made of I don't know what type of metal it is, but it's so beautiful. Okay, so let's go now to your research. Enough of promoting our school. I really had a great time going there, but I haven't been to the library. See, so truth comes out, I'm not really much into like the other stuff. I'm more into like the outdoorsy side of Mahidol. So what's the title of your research, your master's research?
Yeah, it's about intimate partner violence, victimization, and perpetration among trans women in Sri Lanka.
Trans women in Sri Lanka. Okay, so when we talk about intimate partner violence, what's the definition of intimate partner violence in your country, like the laws in your country?
It's quite interesting because intimate partner violence is not, well, is not technically recognized in the law as its vast definition, psychological, emotional, verbal, physical, sexual violence that is done from one partner to another partner. But it's a very constricted definition that we have as domestic violence, um, which takes place from one spouse to another spouse. And given that, keeping that in mind, I also need to bring to bring into light that in Sri Lanka, same-sex marriage is not legal, same-sex sexual relations are not legal. So it only means, if the spouses only mean heterosexual spouses, so it's a man and a woman. So intimate partner violence or domestic violence in Sri Lankan context could only mean violence that is done from a man to a woman or a woman to a man.
Okay, all
So
right.
in that kind of a context, there's a considerable amount of erasure that's been happening because the law doesn't take into account the intimate partner violence that's been done among same-sex couples, um, you know, um, uh, couples that are cohabiting without getting married legally. So, yeah.
My next question is, in some parts of the world, same-sex couples are criminalized, but in your country, in Sri Lanka, are same-sex couples criminalized?
Look, it's like
No, no, right? But it's
uh,
not acknowledged
it
by the
is.
law. Oh, it is criminalized?
Oh, well, let me explain it to you.
Okay.
So according to the section 365 and 365A in the Penal Code of Sri Lanka, um, same-sex sexual relations are criminalized.
Oh, okay. Oh my God, this is a really interesting research then, because when I read your research, it's about intimate partner violence among transgender women. So, transgender women, well, it doesn't really equate to being homosexual, right? The definition doesn't
Yeah,
equate being as homosexual,
yeah,
but it dances on a boundary that's kind of a gray area. It's a nuance. And I kind of see now where this research could be used, like the significance of it. Like, it's a monumental feat, I guess, if you finish this. So you have to finish this, Isu. Like you have to finish this on time. And I will be rooting for you. I know you're not Roman Catholic, but I will include you in my prayers. Sometimes I pray. So this has to be done. Okay, so you're talking about transgender women in intimate partner relations that have experienced violence, right? Okay, so within the bounds of what you can disclose with this podcast. I'm sorry I have not addressed the listeners and viewers of this podcast. Hopefully there will be a few people who will be listening when I publish it. But within the bounds of what you can disclose, what types of violence have they experienced from your data gathering?
Yeah, the violence can take place from controlling, like, generally, you control your partner, from to assaulting them with knives and all of that, to the extent that they get 9 stitches on their hand.
Wow. I've had
So
experiences with like knives on my hands also. I've had like 7, 8 stitches and it's painful. Even with local anesthesia, it's painful. I wow, 9 stitches. What's the type of wound? Are these deep wounds or like defensive wounds? Like when you're in a fight, you just try to defend yourself, right? So it would range from regular cuts to like deep cuts to like superficial cuts. What, well, if it's 9 stitches, it must be deep cut. But was it like what was it with like force, and was the flesh dismangled in some way?
it was like, what I heard was that apparently the partner was waving the knife like this,
Ah, like that.
and
Oh, okay.
my interview participant just held a hand like this, so the knife would be,
Here, kind of here, right? So it's a
yeah.
defensive wound. Okay, so that's
Yeah.
one, physical violence, right? Because in your thesis, you mentioned three, physical violence, and what's the next type of violence?
It can be emotional violence, it can be verbal, it can be, yeah, sexual as well. Because coercion, into sexual activity and that kind of thing. And when it comes to transgender women, like there is this particular thing where um, you can have violence in the form of misgendering.
Misgendering.
Misgendering,
What is that? I don't know. I'm sorry, please educate me.
misgendering. Yes, misgendering is when you I don't identify them with their right gender.
Mm,
Example, if you are a child trans woman, you call them a man. So that is misgendering. And then you deny access to hormones and stuff. That's one thing.
okay. Okay, that's
Which
kind of
is
like, I'm sorry. That's kind of like a gray area, right? So what if I'm just ignorant of the fact? Like, for example, if I meet someone for the first time and I don't know that that person is, okay, I have to be politically correct about this, a trans man. And then I call her as a her. My pronoun would be she and her. Does that mean
yeah.
I'm misgendering? Is that a form of misgendering?
No, it's not misgendering as long as you do it unintentionally. But I can always educate you. If I'm the trans man, I can be like, here, look, uh, I am not a woman, I'm a transgender man. And you can be like, oh, sorry, I used the incorrect pronouns on you. Let me start calling you he from now onwards, and that's the
Mm,
end of it.
okay,
But
okay, good.
if if the situation is such, you are like, oh, you are the your the F word, the
Yeah, yeah,
derogatory
yeah,
word
yeah.
that they
That
use
they're
to
gonna.
identify.
Mm,
Yeah, so if you are that, you are not a proper woman, you're not a proper man. That kind of retort, that is clearly misgendering.
okay. Okay. All right, I get it. And sometimes it's not really what you say, right? It's how you say it. So, for instance, I may be ignorant of the fact of your what pronouns you would like to use, but then even if I know the pronouns that you like, but then I say it in a different way, like, oh, do you know what I mean? It's the manner of like the speech also. And I get that from time to time because I've been told that I've been asked so many times is if I'm a lesbian or a trans man because they say I look like a man, but I don't know what they really see because when I look at myself in the mirror, I don't look like a man. So like when they say that to me in the beginning, I would be very offended. But then through time, because I've had tutorials class with you, you said it's a form of compliment, right? But then some other people, they say it not in a form of compliment. They say it almost like it's a fault, right?
Yes.
And so those are the things that cannot be covered by pronouns, like the attitude, right? Like the manner of speech. And I think that's where we like human rights studies should look into as well, how to educate on the proper attitude or how people could be more accepting of other people's preferences. Anyway, that's too much of me. I don't want this to be about me. All right, so you talked about physical violence, emotional violence, and sexual violence, right? Within when I was reading some of the literature of your research, because you're not yet done, you mentioned in emotional violence nomination, and that's something I have not encountered because I'm a registered nurse and I've been trained in psychiatric nursing, and there are different labels to how you approach people whom have mental health issues and how you're supposed to talk to them, and there are do's and don'ts, and most of the don'ts that I read are in your list of emotional abuse, like for example belittling and other stuff, but I haven't come across the term nomination. Can you explain the term nomination? Because when I read it, it's like I nominate, it's like when you're on your first day of classes, right? You nominate your, oh well, I come from a democratic country, so like on our first day of classes we would nominate our president and vice president, and as kids we were taught to nominate who do we want to be like president or vice president. So when I said nomination, so is it like that? So how is it, what's nomination and how can it be used as a form of emotional abuse?
Um, it's like, you constantly tell them you are like this, you are like this, you are like this. Here, it's like singling them out.
Mm. Oh, okay, I kind of see it. It's like putting them on the spotlight, and it's on a light that's
Yes,
not really flattering, right? It's like putting
yes,
them on a microscope. Oh, I see, I see. Okay, so I'm gonna think about scenarios where that can happen. Like for tell me if it's nomination, okay? So because I may be guilty of this. So I have a lot of gay friends growing up, gay men, and
yes.
some of them I have worked with, and there's this gay man that I'm really friends with, and at one point, he said, "Why do you always call me?" In Filipino, we call gay men as bakla or bading, but I didn't know that it had like a bad connotation, the word bakla. So it's like when I talk to them on casually, like among friends. So I call even my friends whom are girls, legit girls, born female at birth, with the sex female, and I would call them bakla or bakla. Where are we going to eat tonight? Something like that. And I would call him bakla. Where are we going to eat tonight? Are we gonna go dancing tonight? Where are we going? So he felt at one point he had to talk to me, and because he felt offended because I called him the word la, and he said, "Yeah, I'm a gay. I know that I'm a gay. You don't have to call me that." And I was explaining to him that I call everyone that. So it's like normalizing. Is that nomination?
Not very sure. Um it's like um it's not really that. It's just being please excuse me, but it's being a bit unaware of that person's identity, because this some people like to be called girl, some
Mm,
people don't.
yeah. Okay, I'm trying to
But
think of like scenarios for nomination because we have to be aware that we're doing this to people. So nomination, for example,
it's like I'll give you a small example. It'd be like um you know so you have so it's like let me think of one. Okay, so um you are in a relationship with someone, and there are issues in the relationship,
okay,
and say you and me are in a relationship, and I'm
okay.
like, Vida, it's your fault
Why is it my fault? And then,
because you're Vida.
aha, okay,
you
I
are
get it.
inferior you're inferior to me, all of this is your fault.
Okay, I get it. So in a way, it's putting blame or putting finding a fault at someone and nominating that
It's
person.
something to do with gaslighting. It's something to do with putting the blame on that person, not letting them have a say in whatever that happens in the relationship.
Mm. Okay, that actually enlightened me because I was reading what's nomination and I'm like, what is I couldn't I couldn't grasp the idea of nomination. So that's what nomination is. Okay, so it's like a series of other things. Okay, so we've covered physical violence, emotional violence, sexual violence. You've explained it's like coercion. So in a way, it's like rape, right? It's you're coercing someone to have the
Like
activity.
it can be as bad as rape, or it can be like, I'll give you food, you have sex with me.
Mm,
Oh, I am really upset. Can you please have sex with me? The fact that you don't have sex with me upsets me. You ought to be blamed for this. Uh, can you have sex with me to make me happy? That kind of thing.
okay.
Whatever that is, not a yes is a no. That's
Ah,
consent, right?
yeah. Okay. All right. So my next question is just because I'm very destitute at the moment and my Zoom is telling me you only have 10 minutes left. So my next question is what do you want to what are the themes that you see from intimate partner victimization of transgender women in Sri Lanka? You can only give me one pattern, one theme. What are the themes that you have?
I, I'll tell you one, the fact that it's very normalized.
Oh,
It's
okay.
extremely normalized.
All
It's
right.
sometimes the women who were telling me, who sometimes the research participants wouldn't um, realize that this is intimate partner violence.
Yeah. Okay.
Like, for example, I would ask them, have you verbally, have there been like fights? Have there been like physical violence? Have there been instances where physical violence is being used and stuff like that? And they would be like, oh, that's normal in a relationship. That happens everywhere. That's what we do when we are in a relationship. So that's not a big issue, but it's an issue.
Yeah, I have an issue with that also, like normalizing things and having like an excuse for things that should not really happen. So I think it has a lot to do with culture as well, because um we have like gendered roles, and one of the gendered roles for women is not to speak up. And when you're talking about transgender women, um there is a possibility that these transgender women have also embraced that role in within Asian culture, that women are supposed to be shy and timid and not speak out much. So I think it has to start from speaking up, I guess, and so that things will not be normalized, probably. But you, as the researcher, and I can tell that you're very passionate about this, what would you like to come out of this? What are your expectations once your thesis has been finalized and has been published?
I want this to be published. I want this. I want people to talk about this. I want people to know the gravity of not acknowledging intimate partner violence when it comes to the LGBT community. Um, and I want the rule. I want uh, as a long-term plan. I want the laws to be changed so that the intimate partners who are cohabiting will also be able to go in front of the law, and they will have separate set of rules so that they can actually lodge a complaint against their intimate partner.
Mhm. Okay, okay. That's actually good. With the Philippines, we have the same law that you guys have, I think. I don't know if it's the same because I haven't read your law, but it's violence against women and their children, VAUSI. And this would include those cohabiting without the benefits of marriage. And it would also include like same-sex couples. So I think in terms of the law, I think the Philippines have come a long way, but in terms of like implementation, not so much. I have yet to see. So I hope this research will start a discourse or a national debate in your country, and I hope that you know you the LGBT community there will get to enjoy life as freely as say other countries are at the moment. But there's a movement, right? They're not so much as very very free, but like there's a movement that's starting to free them. So I think we are living in interesting times. So all right. So when do we expect your thesis to be finished, and which conference is it going to be published? Is the Mahidol conference where? I would like to know.
It's the IHRP conference. Hope I'm yet to hear about it. Um, and hopefully, God willing, I'm trying to finish it within the next 2 months.
Wow, that's so nice. I'm still writing my research proposal. It's so hard to get an access to data, so that's why I have to like design it in such a way that it will be valid and it will be gathering data that is reliable and something that's worth publishing. So hopefully I'll be able to do that within the next 2 weeks. And then hopefully I'll be able to finish it as well, because human rights, it's something that it's invented, right? We've learned that from our readings in human rights theory, but it's something that's worth fighting for and something that's worth institutionalizing across all countries, because it's very encompassing, because we're all human beings, and we need to be dignified and to be acknowledged as human beings the way we want the human species to thrive, especially with the climate crisis and all. So I think I would end the way I would end all other podcasts that I've had. So what are you listening now? Which music? Just give me one title. What type of music or the title of the song that you're listening at the moment?
Um, I'm listening to a singer song. It's called Mevare.
Mavare?
It's by yes, it's by Sanjula Himala. It's a really new song.
It's a Sri Lankan
It's a
song.
Sri Lankan artist.
Mavare.
Yes.
Mavare. Okay, I'll have to look into that.
It's
Because
MEVARE. Mewaare.
Mewaare. Mayware. Oh, okay. Mewaare. Mayware. Okay, I'm gonna check it because trying to enrich my musical palette. And then, what are the five things that you miss about Mahidol? Our campus, for instance. This is me just trying to promote our school. No, no one paid me. Okay, Mahidol didn't pay me, and I only got like a living allowance scholarship. And yeah, pretty much everything is paid for by my mom and my grandmother. So shout out to them. Okay, so what are the five things you miss about Mahidol University Salaya campus?
The greenery,
Yeah,
lovely people, the
okay.
cats, the food,
The food. What type of food?
and the chonky cat in the food plate.
Tom
I used I used to eat like fried rice.
fried rice? Thai fried rice, right? Is it pad kapaw or cow pad? That's how they say it, the Thai fried rice, cow pad. Okay, I was told that your
Yeah.
favorite coffee shop is Much Mellow. Yeah, I was told by two people. Naeem said that, and Bidya said that also. So, is there something you miss in that cafe, Much Mellow? Because I've been there too.
They're pretty nice. The ambience is all good. So yeah,
The ambience there. Would you ever consider coming back to Mahidol Salaya for like maybe a talk or maybe just to visit or attend your graduation, for instance?
I will come for my graduation. I don't know about the others, but I will come for my graduation.
Isa, would you invite me to your graduation? I would like to attend the graduation also. Your graduation, APNA students.
Yeah, you are always invited.
Okay, all right. Okay, so I think that's where we should end because I have less than a minute from Zoom because I'm destitute. Hopefully, I'll have a lot of viewers to have monetization on my on this one. So thank you again, Isurinie Mallaawarachchi. Please get a copy of her book on Amazon. It's a poetry book that written by her. Flowers Teach Me to Let Go. That's the title. And okay, bye.